Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Tam's story. The last time we had some pretty tragic events occur. These things happen, unfortunately. We're picking up where we left off, slightly altered, as Tam, you stand right outside the cleric's classroom. The door is shut as Treat and Persh are inside. You can hear quiet conversation coming through the door. You stand basically right against it. The events of what has just happened are still on your mind as it literally just occurred. Economist has perished. The sorcerer student that you met today during your free agency to escort Lord Callowin Northamaker through Ferrum and out. While your mission was successful, Economist was a casualty of an assassination. So, as you stand there, maybe a little distraught, what do? It's early in the evening.
I would like to see if I can hear anything that they're saying inside.
Roll a perception.
Tam, from here on out, is going to try to pay extra close attention to everything that's happening. He is definitely still. Oh, wait, sorry. And this whole time, I didn't actually get into the.
The
I knew I
foundry.
was something. I didn't get into the foundry. That's duh. Sorry.
Yes, I do need you here.
Can we pause for a second while I manage this?
Yes, one moment. So you listen at the door with a 17. Their conversation is pretty quiet. They're not trying to hide what they're saying. What you hear is Treat is assessing the damage done to Kana. Persh is asking questions about how long Kana's been gone for. You hear Treat reply that while he did cast a preservation spell, it is beyond the realms of spells such as Revivify. You hear Persh remark that he doesn't know if the Maryguard Academy is willing to put up that much gold to bring back a student who's not a contractor yet. You hear Treat kind of mumble an agreement. You hear him say that he's going to have to talk to Amila Dorn, the sorcery instructor, to find out how promising Kana was as a student and if she's worth the investment. You then hear Persh talk about if Mr. Tourneau would be opposed to even bringing back a student, as they haven't had this happen for a long time. And while the Maryguard is doing well for itself right now, it's still, and you hear the number with a 17, 5,000 gold pieces worth of diamond. There is some more quiet conversation, saying that she must have been taken out in a single slice. It's pretty methodical and cold, the conversation that they're having. With a 17, there is a moment of quietness that I'm going to roll to see if you hear this part. There is something said that is too quiet for you to hear.
Okay.
It's almost like, it wasn't a whisper, but it's almost like you think it was Treat saying something under his breath.
Okay.
They keep speaking about the situation. Persh asked if Lord Callowin might reimburse the cost of the resurrection. Treat doesn't know anything about Lord Callowin, you hear him admit. Persh says he would look into it. Persh then asks Treat what sort of situations that they have revived a student before, and Treat said that hasn't been one before his time.
Oh my god. Him feels awful.
You're listening to a pretty dark conversation right
Yeah,
now.
a very dark conversation. Yeah.
Uh,
His little is still crying.
You hear Persh comment that they should perhaps reconsider the sort of free agencies they allow fresh students upon. Treat comments that it seems as though Kana had serious potential and that this free agency likely just went bad. Or the threat to Lord Callowin was more than even they knew. I'm going to roll a D100. Persh agrees. He says that if they had known there was a real threat of assassination by a professional, they would have used a contracting team instead of students. There is some quiet, like a long period of just what you can hear the sound of heavy objects, like the sliding of a table. And then you hear Treat say, well, at least Sagona, Sabratha, and Durakan will use this as a study. Persh doesn't really say anything. You just kind of hear a grumble. You then hear Persh say, I'll get back to you on what we decide. And then you hear footsteps approaching the door.
I'm gonna like go a few steps away, and like rub my face and try to pretend that I wasn't listening.
Roll a deception.
That checks out 8.
Yeah. Persh, as he opens the door, he looks at you. He raises an eyebrow. And he says, I hate to ask you of this, but I need to have a conversation with you about what happened.
Okay. What do you hate to ask me?
I need to talk about the assassin.
Right. Okay. You here? You want to go to your desk? What do you want?
Let's head to my desk. As he heads toward the desk, and he sits down at it, because it's not far from the cleric classroom at all, you see he pulls from underneath the desk another stool that he slides out to the side. He gestures for you to sit down at it, and then he presses on a blue stone that's underneath the main counter of the desk, which you wouldn't have seen from the other side of it. But now that you're next to him, you can see that the inside of his desk has all sorts of almost like gems encrusted underneath the top of the desk. Various controls. And as he presses one, Persh becomes clearly in focus, but the rest of the main room around you seems blurred. And the always, like, constant conversations you can hear are suddenly completely muffled, and it seems almost quiet.
This is
And
kind of like what was on the book that I signed at the very beginning, where I couldn't read anything else.
Yeah, a bit like that. Except it's more audible and visual. You are isolated, it seems. And Persh looks at you and he says, right, I realize this just happened, and you have feelings about it. But first things first, as Merigard mercenaries, we are professionals. So, Persh opens up another book, one you haven't seen before. This one's pretty thick, very tall, and he thumps it onto the desk. And as he opens it, he pulls out a pen, it looks like a fountain pen. As he presses it to the paper, he says, I need to know everything you know about that assassin. What you saw, how fast he moved, what he was wearing, any insignia, symbols, banners, anything.
I made the player remember that there was a cloak. Do I need to... what do you want me to do? Roll history?
This just happened. So first, I need you to roll basically a composure check for Tam.
Fair. Super fair.
So I'm going to ask you for a wisdom saving throw.
Saving throw? Yeah. 16.
So despite the turmoil of what just happened, Tam seems to manage to kind of clear his mind and think about what happened from a maybe not observer's perspective, but, you know, a more calculating one. Now I need you to roll me a history check, but with advantage, because you have a clear mind on this, and it just happened.
Natural one. That is 16.
16. Okay. With a 16, you remember the assassin was wearing a cloak. On that cloak, it was not complicatedly decorated. It was dark blue in color. It looked like it was trimmed in leather, which is pretty common, at least in the sort of clothes that you'd wear to be quiet, because leather around the trims keeps it from flapping too loudly when you move quickly. With a 16 on history, you remember that on the shoulder of the cloak, in the brief moment that you saw this assassin before it turned, you saw there was a symbol. You remember the symbol to be almost the half of a road,
Okay.
as if it was cut away. You also remember the assassin was wearing a belt that had many weapons brandished upon it. All of them were darkly oiled. The assassin was wearing not like a bandana, but like a scarf that was pulled up over their nose, so you couldn't see their face very well. But you do remember the assassin had sharp green eyes.
Any idea of a race for the assassin, or not? Just like a humanoid creature?
You think it was maybe an elf or a half-elf. You're pretty sure you saw pointed ears, but they were not too distinctive. They had black hair, and it was fairly shortly cut. Or it was tucked underneath a scarf, you couldn't tell. As you relay all these details to Persh, he's making notes about it. Excuse me. He doesn't ask you any more questions as you're remembering all this until finally, when you finish your physical description, he says, when he was making his final movement, where were you? The right side or left of him, Lord Callowin?
Oh god, do I remember?
With a 16, you were on his right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell him that.
Do you have any observations about what happened? Anything that you might have missed that you're thinking back on now? Or do you have any suppositions as to what might have happened that you didn't think of before?
Well, his bodyguard seemed pretty worried that something like this would happen. But I don't know exactly why, other than the fact that, he kind of said that Northmaker doesn't really move through the world as if he's in danger. And so I probably a clever assassin might expect him to grandstand a little bit, maybe, and expect there to be chaos. And the kind of man that wants to move through the streets and be praised, but also have some bodyguards to kind of like keep the crowds away, but not necessarily to protect him because he doesn't think he needs protecting. That seems like it would be an easy target.
You suspect the assassin was counting on this parade?
I think so. I don't think it wouldn't take knowing him very long to come to that conclusion. I did, and I knew him for an hour.
There is a long pause as Persh is making a lot of notes. And behind you, you barely hear it. The doors open. One of the town guards has entered the room. Persh, looking up at the town guard, presses the control on the desk, and immediately you can hear the guard approaching. He's wearing heavy armor. You don't recognize this guard. In fact, he's not wearing the sort of armor you'd expect for one of the common guard of Farum. His breastplate is decorated with gold along the linings. Persh looks up at the guard as they're approaching, and he glances at you, and he says, Captain Loden, this is Tam, one of our students who is at the scene. And Captain Loden, who is a tall human, looks at you and says, a pleasure to meet you.
I wish I could say it the same. It's a sad day.
So I hear. Hal Persh, there's been some evidence at the scene. a failure to deploy, it seems. And he sets a stick, a very short one, it's about this long, about 6 inches, that he sets on the desk. I've had a look over. There's no sign of malfeasance aside from it failed to work. It looks as though the assassin attempted a smoke pipe to get out.
What?
The captain turns to you and says, "It's a minor magical item. You throw it on the ground and it makes a smoke cloud. Good for quick cover. Only this one didn't work."
He didn't have a lot of time to escape. I made him run away, and then while I was doing that, the bodyguard killed him.
And it's likely you made him drop it, and he never properly threw it then. Which is good. Well done. And he looks at Persh and he just kind of pushes the smoke stick to him and says, "You have a look at that for your records. I have more investigating to do. A good day to you both." And the captain turns. Without waiting for a proper goodbye, he seems to be in a hurry. And Persh kind of nods as the captain is leaving and picks up the smoke stick. And it's very short. It's like 6 inches, and it's maybe about the breadth of a cigar. It looks like the sort of thing that you could throw on the ground quickly after pulling it out of your pocket, but at a glance it might be mistaken for a pen.
Sure.
This is the sort of thing that Maxwell would assign a student to use in the right situation.
So it seems like highly trained then, or at least trained.
I'll say trained. I'm glad that that Dorset was able to kill him before he got away proper. Maybe I'll have Treat see if he can speak to him, now that he's dead. If the guards are willing.
Speak to Dorset is on the boat.
Not Dorset. The assassin.
Oh,
Speak with the dead. It's a thing Treat does every once in a while.
right.
It might be good to know who it was that called the shot.
Would he tell him? Does he have to tell the truth?
No, he doesn't have to tell the truth, but there are ways to coerce it, and Treat is fairly effective at that.
Can I be there for that?
I don't think that's a good idea. Listen, I appreciate what you've told me. I appreciate what you remember. But after this conversation, I need you to stop grieving and start moving on. I need your head back where it needs to be and not worrying about how this task might have gone wrong. Do you understand?
No.
Tam, what made you want to become a mercenary? What made you want to sign up for the Merigod Academy?
The fiddler.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get away from what I thought my life was going to have to be. And I thought it would be, an adventure. And it is. I didn't realize. I didn't think about this part of it. And that was stupid of me.
I'd like to tell you it's all hunky-dory, that everything is always pleasant. I'd like to tell you that death is not a big part of this, but it is. You will see friends die. It's going to happen. You will see people die that you don't know but have entire lives behind them that they'll never see the rest of. It's a reality. Especially for mercenaries. Now, we happen to be in a world where death is not always the end. Sometimes having the right allies at your side can make death merely an inconvenience. Unfortunately, sometimes death is just as permanent as it used to be. Now, We have a couple methods that we hope to try and attempt with Connor. The problem is that she's been dead for long enough that the simple means to bring someone back are no longer an option.
Yeah, Treat told me. Can I write a letter to Northmaker?
Of course, you can do anything you like.
He knows me a little bit now. I mean, maybe he'll... I don't know.
The problem is to bring someone back after they've been gone.
5,000 diamonds.
It is expensive, yes. It's a lot of money. And while Lord Callowin might feel responsible for the death of Connor Mist, he might not be able to afford such a cost.
What if he can give a little? First, usually, what do they come here for? People. If you're an adventurer, I know there's this thing about, they're running from something, and I guess I am too in kind of a more abstract way, but you need something to be an adventurer for, right? Raising money for the person that you were there, that they died, that seems like as good a purpose as any, right?
Are you saying you wish to indebt yourself?
If I can make this right, why wouldn't I?
Because it's not your obligation. And
It is
also,
now.
no,
It is now.
you don't understand. The amount of time we have to make a decision, we have 8 days to decide what we're going to do with Connor Mist. 8 days. That's it. You cannot raise 5,000 gold in 8 days.
Why only 8 days? Why can't it be more?
Simply put, the magic's too expensive beyond that. The Merigard Academy is willing to go quite a long ways for those who work here. We're willing to go quite a long way for those who study here, that we invest in. But 10,000 gold pieces is not something that we can just throw.
I know, you have to keep the lights on, I know.
More than that, every mercenary who works for the Merigard Academy knows this. We will go out of our way to make the lives that our contractors have livable, pleasant even. And Revivify, which is a spell that we would have used had it been quick enough, is simple. It's 500 gold pieces, which is still not an insignificant sum, but it's the sort of spell that we can afford anytime we need to. But once it gets beyond that threshold, that's when we have to start looking into the cost and how many we can afford to bring back once it's too late. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. Then magic can't fix bureaucracy.
No, it can't. And simply put, we just don't have the money.
Who has to tell her family then?
Me.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. This fault lies soundly on my shoulders for not looking into exactly what the task required and what sort of threats there might be. It is my job to assign the agencies as well as the contracts, and had I known there was a real threat to Callowin's life, a professional hit taken on the man, I would not have assigned it to 2 students. Not without at least an escort.
think if I'd been faster, though... I... Okay. You're saying there's nothing that I can do, right?
Correct. If you wish to write a letter to Lord Callowin, you absolutely can. You are well within your rights to do so. But that would not be on behalf of the Merigod. That would be you.
Yeah.
I am going to have a conversation with a few people. I'm going to see... Well, frankly, I'm going to see if the Merigod Academy can afford this investment into Connor Mist. And if we can't, she'll be put to rest. She can live out the remainder of eternity in paradise.
Do we know it's paradise? Does she worship a god?
That would be a question for her. But I believe likely she worshipped Darlo.
Okay. What's best for me to do right now? What can I...
Right now, there's a few things you could do. You could choose the most popular route of dealing with this sort of thing and go to the Merigod and get absolutely smashed. I recommend instead forgiving yourself for something that is not your fault. Take some time, recover from this tragedy, and who knows? You never know what tomorrow might bring. Because if things are in Connor Mist's favour, perhaps she'll be back. But we can't raise our expectations to such a thing. I want you to...
do to help with that? There's nothing I can do to help with that?
No. This goes beyond you, I'm afraid. This lies on the decisions that Connor Mist made while she was alive, on the impressions that she made on Amilla Dawn, on her behaviour, how well she performed, and how, frankly, the financials of the Merigod Academy are doing at this moment. It's going to be a long night for us. For you, please, take your time, grieve, and get past this. Is this not where the best music comes from? It's tragedy.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Although, I don't know about best. I think good music can come from tragedy and also from joy. But maybe you don't really know how to write either until you have both.
That's fair. What I'm going to mandate right now is that you are free to take as much time as you need with a limit. I do admit, if you take more than 2 weeks off, Tally Soothsinger will be chewing my head off.
You can't take 2 weeks.
Alright. Take as much time as you need with that self-limit in mind.
Can't do that. I have to be around people or I'll go crazy.
Well, you do what it is that you have to do to get right in the head. The policy here is 2 weeks.
Okay.
Maximum. You can take as little as you want. You can get right back into it if you want, but I don't recommend that, because then you end up working with anger, and that's not wise for anybody, unless you're a barbarian.
Okay. I'm gonna reach out to Treat, and I'm gonna touch his shoulder and give him guidance for the night ahead.
Persh raises an eyebrow and he says,
Wait, sorry, I keep calling him Treat, I'm sorry.
"It's fine. I know who you meant." Persh says, "Kind of you. Anyway, thank you for your account of what happened."
I'm gonna give him a hug.
He returns it.
guess maybe that present I got you is more relevant than I thought.
I indeed will be drinking.
I hope the night isn't too long.
Oh, it's only just beginning.
He goes, I think, like, originally, I think he was gonna, because he overheard the conversation, he was gonna search out the sorcery instructor, but she's gonna be busy right now, so he's not gonna do that. Instead, I think he's gonna just go back to his room. And I don't know what would be required here, but I want him to do two things. And the first of those things is he's going to write a letter to his sister.
Okay.
And the second of those things is I want to roll like a composing check for a song about this. And I think he is going to take maybe like a week, not 2 weeks. And I think if I can keep making rolls for the song over the week, is that possible?
Yeah.
Cool.
We can time skip this if you want to as well.
I mean, I think I can, yeah, we can go, I didn't know what you wanted, if there's other things you wanted to do tonight, but like.
No, it's your adventure. You can decide the pace that we move at.
Cool. So I think for this night, he's going to write a letter that he'll send in the morning, and he'll do the first of however many composing checks.
Okay. How long a composition is this? Is it a song? Is it a poem? Is it a book?
It's a song. It's not very long. It's Tam. I think he's gonna try to write us. First was right. Music can come from this.
For a song, I will require 3 composition checks.
Okay.
Which they can be performance, they can be intelligence, or they can be wisdom-based checks. So, I'm sorry, charisma, intelligence, or wisdom-based, depending on what you're proficient in. You being a bard, I imagine this is going to be performance.
It's going to be performance. So charisma plus proficiency.
Yeah.
Cool. That is a natural 1. That checks out because that is a natural 20 though.
Rough start. Lots of erasing, and
an 18.
Okay. Okay, so the way composition works, it's kind of like, so it's okay. Let me see if I can explain this sufficiently. The way I handle crafting, whether it be anything from composition to building to design to whatever, it's kind of like a skill challenge. And that you need to reach a number of successes before you reach a number of failures. A natural 1 is 2 failures, just like a death save. A natural 20 is 2 successes, just like just like a death save because of
almost like a death save, yeah.
Yeah. The DC for this composition, it's kind of floating. A 10 is basically like you write a song and it's a song. A 15 is you write a song and it's a good song. You roll a 20, it's the sort of song that people will remember and be spread around. And then a 25 is you've written a masterpiece. And anything above that, it just carries.
Gotcha.
With a 26 on the net 20, and then an 18 to finish off the composition, it's not a masterpiece, but it is a very, very good song that people will remember.
Cool.
What sort of song does Tam compose over the next week?
Oh, I have it, so I will sing it later in the session. But,
okay.
It is a hymn, because of course it is. It's Tam. And it's a hymn that I think draws on some stuff from Tysus. Mostly it's a song for the fiddler, clearly, but like it kind of incorporates kind of the other gods that have also been in his past a little bit.
Okay. Before we get any farther, after this conversation with Persh and that first night,
Can you describe for me Tam's mental state? How is he doing?
He's not doing great.
I mean, I'm sure we can all gather that, but more specifically, please, if you could put words to it.
I think he feels distraught. He feels a weird mixture of distraught and resolved and empty. The world as he knew it is over. He really did. I mean, and I think that the first, 11 sessions of this kind of bear this out. Like, one of his fundamental flaws has been sort of this, like, wide-eyed innocence, which is really sweet, and really compelling, but also makes him really naive and sort of, interestingly, it really affects his perception of the world. So it's kind of interesting that he failed perception checks for this to happen to him. And he has changed now. I think he came here sort of with this idea of like, maybe I'll be an adventurer and it's gonna be great and I'll tell stories and I'll write songs and I'll like get to know this new god and it'll be an escape from this life that like actually would have been fine in many ways, but I just wasn't satisfied in it. And now he gets a sense of like what the actual real world is like, not just the world outside of his little like cleric bubble, but like the violence inherent in mercenary work.
Yeah.
And it's not all just about making friends, and you can't always just talk. He has learned very dramatically and clearly and finally that like you really can't just talk your way out of every situation.
It's true. Also, I will say, being from near Coda City, especially recently, it's been pretty safe. He would not have been exposed to much that would have been dangerous. Like, Coda City, particularly, is considered very secure, and that there's no bandits, there's no highwaymen, the monsters are all somewhere else. The elves are secure in their seat of power there. And so the most dangerous thing he would have experienced is rent being due, needing to make money, the occasional, like, maybe hearing about a mugging happening across town, the scandal. That's the sort of thing he'd be exposed to. And everything else is all in histories and stories.
Yes. And I think he kind of came to adventuring with that, like, slant in mind. He's heard stories about adventuring, and it's the glory of it and the songs of it, and like, okay, there's tragedy, but they're in beautiful songs, and like the people that died are heroes because the heroes are the people that you remember, and like that was his vibe coming into adventuring.
Okay.
And it is his vibe no longer.
Things change.
I think it's also important to note that like it's a huge deal that I was like OC, like planning for the session. I was like, oh, he's gonna see Sagona, he's gonna go here, he's gonna do this. I got into his headspace and he doesn't want to do anything like that. He wants to be by himself, which is big for Tim.
Yes.
So like the letter that he writes to his sister tonight, and I have that because of course I do. I wrote that before I got here.
Okay. Do you want to read it aloud?
I can read it aloud, yeah. The letter is, Dear Glory, I tried to write this letter 100 times and I kept starting over, but I know how to write it now. There is no good way to say this, so I'm going to tell you the truth. I enrolled here at the Marigard as a bard. It doesn't mean I never want to be a cleric. It doesn't mean I don't love the gods. It just means that I follow a different path, one that I chose instead of the one that was given me. And now I have to stay on it. I lost a friend, a new one. But it showed me what I have to do next. I didn't think I would try to be an adventurer after this, but here I am. I'm enclosing 100 gold that I owe Dad. I regret lying to you, Glow, and to Dad and Mom, but I don't regret this path, and you shouldn't regret yours. If I can come here to do this, you can go to Saris, but whatever you choose, you should do it. The temple will be fine without us. It's only Dad that'll be upset. I love you and I miss you, and I want you to be happy. Tam.
I did not expect a confession. Okay. If you could link me that letter so I can deal with that in time, because that will be a thing.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have an idea as to what the letter you write to Lord Callowan is?
That I didn't really know as much, but I think he won't write it tonight. Actually, I think he's too distraught, and and we don't have to play this all out, but over the next week, he will go talk to the. He will talk. I think Sagona knew her a little bit. He's
Oh,
gonna
yeah, they were
talk.
friends.
Use his bard skills to talk to everybody that knew her, as
So
much as talk about her.
you learn
Uh,
quickly that Kana knew everyone because she was a gossip and a very energetic personality. She talked to everyone and knew secrets about everyone. So you would learn that quickly. That when everyone who learns that Kana passed away, you get the same reaction that all of them look saddened.
but a little relieved.
No, no, just saddened. Um, there's no like, oh man, it's a good thing that my secret won't get out. It seems as though what she knew about everyone was harmless,
Oh, that's so
especially in the case with Sagona, who
small.
basically tells you that Kana watched her basically wet herself because she drank too much.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough conveying this to everyone. Um,
Yeah, I think they said that he couldn't do anything, but I think Tam takes on this responsibility of telling all the students and telling them in a way that is gentle and kind. And Persh told him to kind of not to mourn too much, but I think he takes on the task of helping everybody to mourn this loss.
okay,
Individually.
as you do that, I do. As we proceed this week, and you do write a letter to Lord Callowan. You don't have to tell me what's in the letter, but I would like you to roll me a persuasion as you basically try and contact Lord Northbaker and see if he's willing to
Help fund any of
help
this.
fund the bill. Yeah.
I think, and well, in addition to that, though, and part of why I said that he went around and asked about her first was that the part of the letter says, look, like, of course, like, this is my friend, this is many people's friend. I recognize that you probably don't have this much money, but even if you don't, I want to tell you about my friend. So somebody else knows about her and the mark that she left on the world. And he doesn't want to do that in a way to like inspire guilt, but like I think it's important to him that he knows that she was a person because Northamaker struck him a little bit as a person that like would look at people as admirers and worshippers and not necessarily like people. And so it's important to him to sort of impress that this was a real person with like a real life and real light in the world.
Sure. Okay. I like that. Go ahead and roll me persuasion.
Pretty good. 23.
23. All right. So you make a couple trips to the post and parcel and send a couple letters out.
I'm removing 100 gold also from my inventory.
Got it. How soon after that first night do you write the letter to Lord Callowan?
I think it takes, like, he knows that the time is of the essence, but I do think he takes at least a day to kind of get the information that he wants. So probably like the next day, like maybe a day or two later, he sends a letter out.
Okay. You write that letter. You send it out the second day after basically the incident. Okay. I have some rolls to make that will decide the fate of Kana.
Can I give you guidance? No, I know I can't.
I'm afraid not. The first thing I'm going to roll is Kana's performance in sorcery, how Amelia Dorn has perceived her progress, and if she thinks she'd be a promising contractor. I rolled a 10, flat in the middle.
Oh no.
That is not promising. It's not terrible, but it is not promising. I'm then going to roll to see how the Merryguard has been doing financially. This is a D100.
I know.
I rolled a 22.
Oh, that's not very good.
The Merryguard Academy's been going through a dry spell. It is not rich with funds at the moment. I'm then going to roll to see how persuasive Persh is. He's going to have to roll pretty well, unfortunately. He rolled a 14.
It's not bad. Not a
It is
20.
not bad, but it is not
Yeah.
great. And unfortunately, with Kana's performance being middling of the pack, and the funds just not being there, the Merryard Academy is not going to be able to afford to resurrect Kana. So, because you wrote this letter, you rolled a 23 in persuasion. I'm going to roll how financially sound the Northamakers are, and how much you've swayed them. Okay. I rolled a 27
Oh
on
my
a
God.
D100. Money is tight everywhere, it seems, right now. But... okay. You receive a letter in response at the end of the week. It is from the Northamakers, in Lord Callowin's own hand. He replies to you, he's glad to know Kana had someone who cared so deeply for them, despite not having known them for very long, and that she must have genuinely been a unique personality to have developed such a good friend in such a short amount of time. In the time that Callowin knew Kana, he saw her as a benevolent light in a dark world, and he feels truly terrible that she perished in the defense of him. He does feel guilt at the cost of her life for his defense, and while he knows that she died and he's lived, and that is her fault that he is alive, he knows that such kind words can only do so much to benefit those who must live without her being around any further. While he does not have the funds to truly fund the resurrection of such a person, he has enclosed a gemstone which he hopes might at least alleviate some of the pain. And in that parcel that the letter you receive is a fairly large-sized red ruby.
Okay. He'll write a letter back, thanking him sincerely for seeing her.
Okay.
And then he'll take the ruby to Persh.
All right. So you arrive, you show Persh this ruby, and Persh looks at it and he says, "Where did that come from?"
I wrote to Northmaker. I'm showing the letter too.
Oh.
Both of them. The one. Actually, I guess I don't have the one that I sent. I probably have
No,
a
you
draft.
sent that one. Okay. Persh looks at the ruby and at the letters. This is no small thing. It does not, unfortunately, cover the cost of a raise the dead, but it is a valuable stone.
You should keep it in a fund for the next person.
I see. He takes the ruby. He looks at you for a long moment,
Thank you, Tam. I've seen what you're trying to do over the last week. I've seen how you've spoken with everyone. While it is true that unfortunately we do not have the means to bring Connor back, she will definitely not be forgotten.
Shouldn't be.
Are you alright?
I think I will be. Maybe not now, but I think I will be.
That is all anyone can ask for of you.
Northmaker was going to pay us for the job, right? Can we put that in the fund too?
Yes, we can. He had set aside 150 gold for each of you.
Yeah, put it in the fund.
As you wish. Will there be anything else, Tam?
No, I think that's all. Thanks for
Persh.
trying.
Roll me an insight check.
Hey. 16?
Persh looks at you with a look that looks like it's seen on Persh's face often. He looks tired. He nods with the look of someone who's had to deal with this before and hates every moment of it.
Deal with what? Oh, the
death of a student.
Gonna give him guidance again.
He thanks you.
And I guess this is what, day 3 or 4?
This is day 6.
This is day 6. Is it okay to say, because I've been doing a lot of like talking to people during the week, can I also have worked with oh my god, why don't I remember anyone's name? It's been a long time. Excellent Physiker person. Who's that?
Zurich.
Zurich, yes, your character whose name I should definitely remember. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, because I think have needed to do something, especially like he needs to do something in his days.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you have done it that first night?
Not the first. Like the first night was the composition and the letter.
Right.
But I think every night after that.
Okay.
And on a day too. Like I don't think he would have it in him to like go be a salesperson with glass, but he would actually far prefer to be helping people at the clinic.
Would he be wearing his troubles on his face?
Oh,
Or would he be
yeah.
trying to hide it? Okay. I will roll an insight for Zurich. The first day you come in, Zurich looks at you and he says, "Well, you look absolutely depressed."
Lost a friend.
I am sorry to hear that.
Persh says it.
It does. I have lost many people under my knife or in my life.
How do you move through it?
Well, that is a good question. Everyone handles it differently. For me, I look into what happened and I try and make sure that if I have anything I can do about it in the future, I do so. But that is not exactly practical for every situation. Death is something that I've known well as a physiker. We see death every day and we ask it politely to come again tomorrow as our schedule is full. It doesn't always answer positively, but you know, you try and procrastinate as much as you can.
Yeah.
With my training and my partner here, we get through the hardships of losing those that we love by staying together, remembering what is worthwhile and dismissing that which is just painful. Pain is our body's way of telling us something is wrong, but sometimes our body is wrong.
Yeah?
If you lose a loved one, and that pain sticks with you, that pain doesn't help you. That pain doesn't tell you something is malfunctioning, it tells you something sad happened, which is of benefit very rarely. Instead, you dismiss those feelings, and you latch onto the ones that are benevolent, the ones that are enriching. You've lost a friend, so instead of dwelling on them being gone, think of them instead as what you had.
Yeah.
Who they were, not who they are now, which is a corpse, and those aren't very helpful.
Smart.
I realize this is not the most effective pep talk I've ever given, but I'm, you know, I do my best, and I mean,
You don't, it doesn't have to be. I think it's more effective than you think. This is my first time with any of this, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and it's nice to know that there are people that know what they're doing.
did I ever tell you about my first surgery?
No?
A friend of mine had lost a hand in a battle with a bugbear. The blade had cleaved the wrist, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had no bloody clue. The nerves were all hanging about, and it was truly disgusting.
It sounds terrifying. Never
But-
get involved.
But I had a bit of Banacite, and I had some magical know-it-all, and through the connections of those nerves, and the patience, and a large leather bit that I put in his mouth so he would stop screaming, we got it reattached, and he healed up just fine. Although I don't think his pinky works. You know, I do my best. The point is, even if you don't know what is coming, or what you're doing, the best you can do is the best that you can do with what you have.
We can learn. I guess we can learn.
And right now, the best that you can do is help me.
That's
Because
right.
we have many patients coming in. So distract yourself with your work. And maybe please play the fiddle a little bit.
Yeah, sure can. I think it's in this work, because he definitely hasn't played. I think the other really important thing to note here is that he has not played the fiddle in like 2 or 3 days until he comes in, and that's real rare for him.
Sure.
And I think maybe the first day it's kind of harder for him to play something more upbeat, and Zurich is like, come on, come on.
Yeah.
But by like the next couple of days, he kind of finds his rhythm again and is able to play like maybe slower, airs first and then jigs and then, slip jigs and then reels.
Okay. Roll me a couple performance checks, please. 2 of them.
15 and 16.
Okay. Over the week. Oh. Zurich might have been the right call. Over the week, the physicary is busy. Extremely busy. It's actually very convenient. There's actually a story note here that is important. On your 4th day, a number of soldiers come in on a ship. Roll me a history check.
8. Tam doesn't have very high intelligence.
Okay, don't worry about it. A number of soldiers that you recognize as Aurelian are injured, showing signs of battle. They're showing lots of cut wounds, arrows, just what looks like they've been having fights, but not with monsters. They look like they've been fighting other people. And as they come in, it's most of them you hear are reported to have gone to the temple of Ana for healing. And the ones that you're getting here at the Physicary, they are in dire straits, but they know that the Physicary moves quickly. And they also know that Zurich does not charge for emergency healing. And you understand why on this day. Because as these soldiers come in, he is visited by Captain Luden.
Oh, wow.
You recognize him. And there is a conversation between Zurich and Captain Luden where Zurich is handed a large bag of gold. Zurich doesn't really mention anything about it. You can ask him about it if you want to.
No, I think the context is pretty clear for
Yeah.
for Tam. I'm happy to roll insight about that, but even so, like, I think
You don't sense anything nefarious. You just think that the city's
Yeah.
paying for this.
It seems like it's I think, and that's useful for Tam because he's kind of wondered. He's like, is Zurich just like loaded this whole time? I think he's been assuming that Zurich has like dragon hoards of money somewhere from being so long, and so he's like, oh, he's just like opened this clinic out of mostly charity, and is like funding it from his past adventures. But like now he's like, oh, the city pays him.
For the most part, it seems that when people come in with emergency healing, they don't have any money to give him. But in this case, as all these Aurelian soldiers are brought in, the captain provides him with money. You've never seen that happen before, but in this context, it makes some sense. These soldiers, there's a lot of them. You see well over 60 men come in the 4th day that need to be healed. And Zurich works like the wind, going through all of them, patching them up, each one taking no more than 10 minutes. And the entire time, he's like, basically, like, he doesn't even give you more than like a sentence. He just says, please, something upbeat for this one. This will be complicated. Or like, just giving you basically quick instructions while he works.
If there's any use for it, Tam also has cure wounds and stuff. If there's like a dire, like there's too much at once.
Sure.
He's happy with that too.
Unfortunately, with how many soldiers there are, if Tam did that, he'd be out of spells, like, immediately. But Zurich does handle this well. And with your and Annika's help, you blast through it all. Roll me a perception check.
I would also note that like he's been paying per this week and all weeks. He's been paying really close attention.
Noted.
I don't know. His perception checks are gonna reveal that. Oh, that actually will. That's 21. But he is actively trying to look closer through this week, and if he's not, if his mind is wandering, he's reminding himself to look closer.
With a 21, you learn some alarming news. As these soldiers are talking amongst each other, and also to Zurich, and just what you gather from ambient conversation, is a thing that you haven't heard around Farum before. These soldiers were injured in skirmishes near Elvenlock Pass. Skirmishes between Aurelia and KO soldiers.
I'd say that's chaos. That's not good.
No. No, it is not. The air between these soldiers is nervous, worried. This seems as though the skirmish took them by surprise.
Like elves did this?
Yes. Not specifically elves, but Kayan soldiers.
Yeah, Kayan soldiers. And is this how, like, I come from there,
Mm-hmm.
and we established that it's a pretty like well fortified place, but is it a place that like seems like it's trying to reach out and get more territory and is like has a colonial streak at all?
Not
or
at all.
Is this weird? Okay.
This is weird to you.
Okay. Kind of wish that I could write my sister about that, but I'm not going to do that because she's probably mad at me.
Why don't we hop over to the world map briefly,
Yeah.
so I can show you the scale of what it is I'm talking about. So you, being from Coda City, which is up here, and we will wait for you to actually connect and load it up. It's a big map, so it might be a moment.
Takes a minute. But this is this is okay. This is strange. And I don't.
Yes, this is new to you. This is not good news.
Does it feel connected at all? In one of the earlier sessions, I learned that there was like a dwarvish king. I think it was a dwarvish that had died earlier. Like
The King of Aurelia.
It was the king of Aurelia. Okay, it wasn't a dwarf. Okay, it was the king. Okay, so that's also not very good news.
No,
Like,
you
this-
learned that a new... Yeah, you learned that a new leader of Aurelia was elected, an Ease Demeric.
Okay. And could that be related at all to whatever aggression is happening?
Could be.
Okay.
You don't really have enough information unless you actually pursue it. What you know right now, you've learned from soldiers basically talking about the skirmish that they've dealt with, and that it was not good.
It's not good.
Okay,
Like
you're
an
looking at the
ambush.
world map. Yes. So there's Coda City.
Yes.
If you hold control and pull out the ruler, you can see just how far from Elvenlock Pass you lived.
Oh, this is yeah. Okay.
And that's not even accounting the fact it's not following the road, which is
Yeah.
not a crow's flight.
This is like 500 miles away. This is really weird.
It's well over 600. So that's a thing. That is a environment that you are maybe not super familiar with. Elvenlock Pass. You may have gone there either in your journey down to Farum, or you might have taken a ship out of Lebrookport. It's kind of up to you.
I figured I had taken a ship.
Okay. Then yeah, that would have been a much quicker journey. So maybe you haven't been to Elvenlock Pass. You don't really know what the situation is there. It's kind of up to you.
I kind of like the idea that Tam doesn't like. He's like, oh, Elven, but like he doesn't. Like he perks up with what it's called, but he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
What it's called.
While KO is the seat of high elves and their power, KO is also not just elves. Like there are many
Sure.
other races that live
And
there.
he's a tiefling. He's a tiefling. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Now that being said, and with that maybe revelation of geography, you understand that by sea these soldiers traveled quite a ways, which is concerning. Why didn't they go to Shorewatch?
Yeah, why would they not? It's really weird. What could have been there? What could have been there that they wanted? He probably doesn't have any idea. Yeah, that's mysterious in a way that he doesn't like.
Do you muse about this, or do you ask anybody?
Yeah, I think he would, but I don't think he would say that he's from Coda City or from KO.
Okay. Who would you ask?
Um,
Or talk to, I guess.
I mean, it's going to be really, really busy. I feel like there's got to be somebody that is banged up bad enough that he like has to be in a bed all day. Like, he's maybe been patched up. Like there's got to be somebody that's like triaged enough that he like.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just kind of a bad time.
100%, yes.
I will attempt to, in the times that I'm not, directly following orders,
Mm-hmm.
specifically entertain this person. Maybe he can borrow my set of dice, even, because it's really boring to be in a bed for a long time.
Sure. I would say
And
there's
that-
at least a few soldiers that are bedridden,
Yeah.
but
Cool. Then they can all borrow
cogent.
my dice. They can all borrow my dice, and they can all like request some songs from me as we kind of go through the. And I will ask them, kind of in a friendly way, kind of between work. What the hell? What do you think they were looking for? What do you think they were after? That geography is weird. Why would they be doing that?
Roll me a persuasion at advantage because of your music and offering of the dice and such.
That's 19 on the die. 24.
You learn a couple things. You learn that within the last few days, an order came to close the borders between KO and Aurelia.
Oh, that's good.
That order was confusing to most of the soldiers, and you learn that the Aurelian Golden Guard, who is who you're talking to, is basically the Aurelian army. All hail unification. They are not... They're following orders, but they're not comfortable with them. They're receiving orders that they don't understand why they got them. But after closing the borders and denying travel from KO into Aurelia, the next day they fell under attack.
Wow.
They were assaulted by scouting parties of Kayan soldiers. What concerned them is that these soldiers were all wearing mithril armor.
That seems that that's pretty well planned, right? Mithril is expensive.
It's very expensive, yeah. It is commonly used by scouts because it's so lightweight, but it's expensive, and so scouts that would use it would also try not to get caught. But these scouts were very aggressive. It was almost as if they were raiding.
But why would they be trying to raid soldiers? Any sort
Well,
of...
they weren't. What you would learn is that Elvenlock Pass is Aurelian. They were raiding Elvenlock Pass. They were tearing down farms on the outskirts of the town. They were trying to siege the walls of Elvenlock Pass, which is the city that's kind of nestled in between hills, and it has tall walls, and on both sides of it are mountains, hence the name Elvenlock Pass. It is not a city known to be easy to push over. But these Kayan soldiers were raiding it. And the soldiers that were defending it, most of the ones that were here were sent out to try and find the scouting parties. And they were attacked.
I'm gonna ask them straight up. Are we at war?
The soldier you're talking to, this kind of lean, old human, he's maybe 40, 45, he looks at you and he says, "Well, if there ain't declaring it official, it sure feels like it anyway."
Sounds like war to me. But why?
Have you seen anything in the news sheets?
I mean, I know the king died a couple of months ago. Nothing past that.
The soldier just shrugs. If we are at war, you can expect a draft coming through.
Okay.
Always assume you're safe being a folk of the Merigard, right?
I mean, am I? I don't know how that works. I guess.
We don't draft students of academies.
Yeah. Well, they want to hire some really good contracting teams. I know a place.
I bet you do. You keep your head down. And thank you for your help.
Yeah, you take care of yourself, okay?
I don't really have a choice. He's like still up in bed. But tell you what, why don't you go get a drink on me? And he flicks a thumb and a couple silver.
Well, that's sweet.
Roll over to you.
That's sweet. He'll catch it. Say thank you kindly, but not get the drink until after work.
Yeah, sure. So, having learned this, that KO and Aurelia might be approaching war, and it seems out of nowhere, at least from your perspective, how does Tam feel about that?
Not great. This is... Wow. He's really overwhelmed by this. I think he really wants to write another letter home. But but hasn't. I imagine he hasn't gotten anything back from the first letter. I made a couple of changes when I was reading it, so I'll make those and then send it to you.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you're not going to receive a reply for this
yeah,
week.
yeah, I figured. I think he agonizes over it for a while, but he ultimately doesn't do that. He does, however, he expects Persh to know what the fuck is going on, but just in case, he goes and immediately like tells Persh everything.
Wait, everything that you've learned? Okay, so this is on the 4th day. So this is before you got the letter back from Lord Callowin.
Sure.
That the date is important here.
Okay.
So, as you tell Persh what you've learned, Persh, who at first is, as he always is, his head's down looking at one of his ledgers and he's writing in it, and as you're talking, he's like, and he looks up at you and he says,
War with KO.
If it's not declared yet, it's got to be soon. They were talking about a draft.
I haven't
They were-
heard anything.
You should expect. I imagine that there probably will be a whole heck of a lot more students soon, if there is a draft.
Alright, I need to have a conversation with Maxwell. We should have heard something about this from our network. That is concerning indeed. Thank you for letting me know. This is the first I've heard of it.
and Persh does look, his brows furrowed. He picks up the blue sending stone from beneath the desk.
Maxwell, I need to have a conversation with you, like, immediately. Please report to the desk.
And he turns and looks at you and says, "Thank you, Tam, for letting me know.
Yep.
I'm going to need to have a private conversation with our spy master. Thank you very much."
Tam is like low key, like, what the fuck? How did I find out something before Maxwell? This is weird.
Yeah,
This
you
is
can see
very
why
weird.
Persh is disturbed.
Yeah, he doesn't feel great about. I mean, like, I think there's like a little minute pride, but then also he's like, nope, I don't like this at all. This is very, I don't. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good.
Persh looks at you and he says,
If there is a war with KO, we are going to have a lot of requests on our hands. So, I mean, you know we don't hail under the flag of Aurelio, right?
I know.
You might find some turbulence out in Ferrum proper. If that's the case, stay within the academy. I don't know if that's how this is going to go. If we are at war with a neighbouring country, we might find people calling us traitors because we live here, but we live in the Merigod Academy, not on Aurelian soil.
Can we still have the fall festival if it's like that?
I don't know. It depends.
Seems unlikely.
It seems dangerous. It seems like that might not be the best choice, but we will see. I need to have a conversation with Maxwell.
Is it okay if I tell the other students, or do you want to hold it?
Let me wait a minute until we have some more official information. I need Maxwell to get in touch with his contacts. It is weird that we haven't heard anything until now, which tells me there might be a real problem.
What about the Mary Guard? Can people still go there, or is it not safe?
It's right up the street. It should be fine. If it's not, I mean, handle things carefully. The Mary Guard has always been good with us and to us, so, you know, use your judgment.
Okay.
Alright, off you go, Tim.
I'm gonna go straight to Zagona, and I will not. Like I promised, Persh that I wouldn't tell her anything before there was like an announcement or something. But I am gonna be like, hey, if you go to the tavern, you need to take me with you.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna anyway, but why? What's up?
I just, for future reference, we should go together.
"You could just
Or-
say you want to get fucked up. That's fine with me."
Okay, yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be now, but like, I don't want you to go alone.
Are we dragging Tornis along?
Yeah, 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 we should.
I knew you would.
And she like elbows you in the side.
And you know,
Have you talked to her lately?
no.
Maybe you should. 'Cause, you know, you're all fucking doom and gloom lately.
That's kind of why I haven't.
Well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I
Look, I'm not a dummy, okay? You like her. Yeah?
Yeah. But, like, I was a different person earlier this week. And what if she doesn't like the person I am now?
Then you'd better know that now.
And besides, she has.
If you look under any more rocks for excuses, I'm going to smack you upside the head, you. Hear that?
Yeah, okay. I don't want to be smacked upside the head, please.
I bet not.
Are you okay?
I'm a little bit drunk. So, yeah, I'm good.
That's not an answer. Tell me the real answer.
No, my best friend's gone. But I'm dealing with it as best I can.
I'm sorry.
I swear to God, Tam. I will yell at you. It's not your fucking fault. And you know that, and I've said it before. These things happen. We know the risk when we signed up.
Yeah. Alright, let's go, let's go.
Right now.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Good. That's what I want to hear. Let's go. Go on. Go get your girlfriend.
No, can't. God, no. Stop.
What, too far already? Go get Tarnis.
She's not.
Okay, go get the girl that you really like to call your friend and you really want more then.
It's gonna.
Hmm?
You haven't talked to her about this, have you?
Do you think I need to?
What are you talking about? No.
No, I haven't talked to anyone.
Is it that obvious?
To me?
To her?
I don't know. I'm not her.
Okay. Alright, I'll go get her.
Good. I'll see you at the Mary God.
Yeah.
So, I will move the map back to the academy. As you go and you get Taunus, she is in the artificer's classroom. As you go and retrieve her, she looks up from her work and she says, "Ah, hello, Tam.
Hey,
It's been a while. How are you doing?"
I've been better.
I heard.
You wanna get a drink with Sagona and me?
She looks down at what she was working on. You see there is a ring that's up on a stand with two prongs holding it up. She looks over at the instructor and then over at the red-haired, tall, human artificer who's across the other table. And he looks up and says, "Go on, get out of here. I got it." And Taunus just kind of appreciatively nods and says, "I'd love to."
Thanks. He's looking at the instructors. Thanks. Thanks.
The halfling instructor looks over at you and she says, "For what? I didn't do anything." "Are you here to study?"
No, I'm here to get my friend.
"Oh. Well, go on then." And she goes back to what she's doing.
Hey, you're Widget, right?
Guilty as charged?
I asked Persh on the first day who was nice, and he thought about it kind of a long time, and then he said, "Widget's nice."
She looks over at Taunus and the other artificer student, and then she looks back at you and says, "High praise coming from him.
I know, right?
I wonder what I did."
You must have done something right, and probably you're very charming and smart.
You're right on one of those counts.
He's gonna tap her shoulder and give her guidance for whatever it is she's working on.
When you go to touch Widget, she recoils. She
Okay.
does not allow you to touch her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have asked. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Just no touching.
Okay. Uh, Noted for the future. Apologies. I'll let you get back to work.
Good evening. And she like turns and walks the other side of the table. Tanis is like watching this happen with her arms folded, and she says, "I saw that coming."
I should have asked.
Right. So that drink.
Yep.
As Tanis walks with you, she does look down to you and she says, "Are you all right?
No.
Do you want to talk about it?"
Did you know her?
Of course I knew her. Everyone in this academy knew Connor. You couldn't not. She would talk to you whether you wanted her to or not.
I didn't.
Hmm.
Until
That surprises me.
I know. We would have really gotten along.
You really would have. You both talk so much.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do that last night.
Tam,
Yeah.
you're not going to let this change everything about you, are you?
Maybe not everything. Some things maybe need to change.
Growing. Some things needed growing. Change is the wrong word. To change would be as if it had no resemblance to what it once was. Growth shows what it used to be and how it is now. Don't forget who you were, but grow into something that you are now. That's something my mother used to say
Yeah?
when she wasn't being a controlling bitch, yes.
I was about to say, like, is it seems like she at least gave you some good advice, huh?
Some. But any time that I feel as though something I made a mistake, or something ended up the way I didn't like, I remember her saying that. See it as growth, not change.
First told me not to change. You remember that? After we, I think it was our first fight in the training room.
Yes, I do.
Kind of ironic. But I'll try not to change, but to grow. It's good advice. Thanks, Thomas. You're real smart.
You've said that before.
I mean it.
I almost believe you.
Yeah, what's keeping you from believing me?
Well, the truth.
And how do you know I'm not telling the truth? I'm very truthful. I'm not. You can ask anyone.
I
so
believe
honest.
you think you're telling the truth.
Well, then why don't you think so?
Because perceptions are what's important, and maybe I'm just showing you what I want you to see.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Is it?
Yeah.
You see, she's
think-
got like a sidelong smirk on her face.
You think you would be in that artificer's classroom if you weren't fucking smart? I'm pretty sure it's a requirement.
I will concede that point. I know I'm intelligent, but there is a difference between smart and smart.
That sounds just like a change in the tone of your voice. What do you mean?
Okay. I can design jewelry that hide all sorts of magical tricks within them. But I can't always see when people are being honest, dishonest, or when they're hiding things from me.
Okay. Just sounds like different kinds of smart to me. Doesn't make what I said.
That's just what I said. I just said that very thing, Tam.
Yes, but the point that I was making is that you were trying to claim that you weren't smart at all, and I'm pretty sure you're
Oh,
trying
no.
to
I'm a
use-
genius.
What? Okay, good.
I'm just not so good with people.
You know, the nice thing about this place is that there's all kinds of people. And some of them are good at talking. Some of them are good at hitting things. And some of them, thank goodness, are good at healing people when they're hurting. And some of them make really beautiful jewelry that can do incredible things like I've never seen before. And also is fashionable. And also you can hide, which is very important. And
I'm not going to tell you to stop flattering me, but
you don't, it's not flattery.
it feels like it.
Yeah, it feels like it because you're not used to actually looking at yourself like how you are.
Well, by all means, keep complimenting me. I might believe you.
Listen, you were talking about perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a whole lot about dark elves, but I know a little bit about clerics. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't hide from a god. We all know
That's
that.
not entirely true, I don't think.
Yeah, but
I hide from a god every day.
what god?
She insight checks you. She doesn't know if you're being serious.
I have persuasion. I don't know persuasion, man.
Okay. Yeah, roll persuasion.
24.
She looks at you with a raised eyebrow and she says, "The goddess of my people. Well, the darker one.
What do I
Inosa?
know?
You can roll a religion check. See if you recognize the name Inosa.
Oh, that's nothing. 5.
No. This is a name that you don't recognize.
I don't. I don't know that god.
Oh, goodness.
Why do you have to hide from it?
Well, I told you I'm not from Undertow, yes?
Yeah.
Well, there's a side effect to that. Undertow and its civil war and all that, and all those dark elves and Durgar and Driders that make that their home, they're very comfortable up there. They live a life of benevolence, and they trade openly with all the other folks of Terracona and such, and they're seen in the proper light.
And you?
I come from a town called Groweth Dorzan. It is in the Underdark, where my people worship Inosa. And they believe that power and strength matter over all others. It is by nature of my family and the dark elves that I grew up among that self-interest and greed be the most valuable assets.
No
In
wonder
the
you
old,
didn't get married.
well, there was many reasons, but that's definitely one. I am not evil, but many of my family are. It is the nature down there. It is a dark place to live. So, I didn't realize you weren't aware of Inosa, or maybe I would have informed you sooner. That is why I hide from both her and my old family. I have no wish to return, aside from the fact that they'll make me marry someone and just be a head of family for the rest of my life as a political icon.
Yeah, but why would the god care?
She has a very hands-on approach with dark elves.
So it's just you were born into it.
Correct.
That's not fair.
Well, perhaps you can see why some don't put all their faith into the gods.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I am learning that the way that I see things is maybe real different than the way a lot of other people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my God, I don't know if I can call him my God really, but
You kind of choose, don't you?
yeah.
So if you choose that they're your god, then they're your god, and there's not much they can say about it.
Well, the one I chose happens to be the more benevolent kind. And that works pretty well for me. And that's not to say that you have to pick one and do what you want, but I think we all find what we're looking for, however it is that we can find it. And whether that's the gods or something else or friendship or really pretty jewelry that does cool stuff. I think it doesn't really matter how we find whatever it is we need, as long as we find it. Maybe the gods all have something to do with that and we don't even know it.
Well, here's what matter right now, as we are going to go get a drink. And for all these compliments, I feel I should buy you one. What is it that you need right now, Tam? Who wears grief like a cloak?
You come with me to the cleric classroom.
Sure.
There's something I need to do, and I think I might like it if someone else is there to see me do it.
Then I'll be with you.
Thanks.
So that's a pit stop then.
Yeah, and then a drink, I promise.
Well, I did say I would buy it, and I'd hate for you to go back on that.
I don't know if it's like still class time, but hopefully not.
It is not, no. It's 5:30 in the evening at this point, so class is out.
Okay, perfect. There is a little shrine to the fiddler in here, as I recall.
There is. There are shrines to every god in here, including Inosa.
Including Inosa. Did we have to walk past that one? Do I know? Can I?
You don't know what Inosa's shrine looks like.
I don't know what it looks like. Of course,
You've no idea.
In which case, I will tell her, look, if you don't want to be close, I don't know which god it is. You can point it out to me. You don't have to be close. You'll be able to hear, regardless.
Don't worry about it. I'll be right with you.
Thanks. Okay, so he will go to the shrine to the fiddler. And I'm gonna, I think I can pause. Can I pause music from here? I don't think I can.
I can pause music.
That I would appreciate it. Can we? Yeah, because I have, I wrote him.
Okay.
It is, he will play it through once on the fiddle, which I can't recreate.
Sure.
But he will first, I mean, he'll pray. And he'll say, I'm pretty sure you've been watching. I have a song for you. But it's for me too. And this is what he sings. Dear Lord, I wander here below. Glory, hallelujah. I sing to you that I may know. Glory, hallelujah. Have I a seat in paradise? Glory, hallelujah. have some friends before me gone. Glory, hallelujah. Yet I'm resolved to travel on. Glory, hallelujah. I vow that I'll remember them. Glory, hallelujah. Their memory a requiem. Glory, hallelujah. If my journey I'll pursue. Glory, hallelujah. My hands thy godly work to do. Glory, hallelujah. I cannot say I have no fear. Glory, hallelujah. You lift my bow and bring me cheer. Glory, hallelujah. You gave the power to my hand. Glory, hallelujah. I pluck these strings at your command. Glory, hallelujah. Have I a seat in paradise? Glory, hallelujah. Is there a love that never dies? Glory, hallelujah.
As you finish the song, firstly, I'd like you to roll a performance with advantage.
Okay. Two and a 1. God damn it. Dice didn't want to give it to me.
That's how it goes sometimes, but the song feels heard. It is still music in front of the Fiddler's Shrine. And as the music plays, Taunus is quiet, listening with rapt attention. But it's almost as if your perceptions of her vanish. And you feel as though you are singing in a massive auditorium with an audience of one. It almost feels as though your voice is echoing back to you from open seats reaching far out, hundreds of feet away. And as it is heard, finally, at the end of the song, you hear, as if distant, "Bravo. Bravo." And then your perceptions of Taunus return. Out of character, that song is beautiful and well sung. You've earned an inspiration point.
Amazing! Yeah.
And as you and Taunus finish the prayer song and begin to head to the Maryguard Academy, or Maryguard Tavern, I should say, that is where we're going to stop tonight's session.
Yep.
Thank you for playing with me tonight. And to any who
Yes.
is watching, we love you, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. All right. Good night, everyone.